Crossroads witches and other magical folks out there, and of course you new witches. Welcome home. So good to see you. Of course you can see today my cat Chester has decided to join me. I wasn't planning this video. I was sitting here actually working on my new BOS Grimoire scrapbook journal, whatever y'all want to call it. I'm easy. But I realized, first let me back up. My birthday was a couple weeks ago, and a very dear friend of mine, he's been my friend for a very long time, sent me this beautiful journal book for my birthday. All right. I typically use like dollar store journals or notebooks and everything else. I do have my original Book of Shadows grimoire from 1984, witches, and it is leather bound and currently has duct tape on its spine because she's been used. So let's get on to, I got me a new Book of Shadows journal grimoire scrapbook. All right, what do? And I got me a really pretty one. Y'all, it's got pretty things on it. So I realized as soon as I got this book, I'm like, oh no, if I don't start working this book, y'all, you can potentially create a shadow. All right, what am I saying? How many of y'all witches are sitting out here with these pretty books like this and it's sitting up on your shelf because it has intimidated you? All right, you've got this whole beautiful artistic, grimoire in your head and you're thinking, how can I do that? So there sits the book. What have you got? You have got new shadows to deal with. You now have a shadow of guilt and potentially shame. Because you know that book's sitting up there and you ain't using it. So what you gonna do? Well, I'm gonna show you what I did the first thing. As soon as I opened up and looked at it and went, ooh, I have a new book. I wrote on it the day I got it. And then underneath it, I wrote down, this book is mine. And I wrote my name, Taren S, and then I did my little sigil. I have gone back and scrapped book it. I'm gonna talk about that in just a minute, witches. But that was my very first thing is I just wrote a name in it on the front page, all right? Well, actually, the very first page, I found a pretty blessing ritual that I have that was on this beautiful card, and it just fit, and the words were awesome. So I'm saying, witches, all right? So my first page, I put my blessing on. My second page, I basically put my thumbprint on it. I was like, this is my book. And then this past full moon, I went out and sat it on the altar, sprinkled some salt on it, asked that the book be protected. It always returns to me, that I write down the things I need to remember, the things that I want to pass on to other folks, all right? I did not have a formalized blessing per se. I just stood there. Holding it, talking to it, held it up to the moon. And then I think at one point, because we had a bonfire, I danced around with it with this book of mine. I give to the divine. This book of mine, it will be so fine. And just really put me into it. So then I brought it back up to the house. I let it sit up there until probably just right at midnight, y'all. Be careful letting your book sit out overnight because the morning dew, that little bit of moisture in the morning, can wreak havoc on your book. Unless you're looking for the been there, done that book, then leave it outside a couple of times. All right. I also had, like I was showing y'all, I had some pretty little stickers and stuff, and so I started putting them in there. I went through and did a section for different things that I want to write down. And at the end of the book, I wrote a little that this journey never ends. Now, what am I going to be putting in my book besides for stickers and scrapbook pieces of paper? I'm going to be putting in there any working that I have done, which do not copy books. and write it in your journal. Unless it's a segment, but don't be writing out all these charts. If you work, I have, getting ready to do a dandelion thing. That's over here. I love the dandelion. It's one of my favorite herbs, magical herbs to work with. It has such an amazing spirit. So I put that in there. Something I plan on doing later is getting some dry dandelion leaf and putting in my book. All right. I have notes. Let's come. I'm looking over here because I want y'all, as far as what do I put in my new book? All right. I put in there what I'm doing. I may open this book up like on a full moon and write down, great moon, danced around a lot. That's it. Next full moon, I'll write 2 pages of what I did. All right? Don't let this book intimidate you. Don't be creating shadows, witches. All right? Now, another thing I put in my book is some mantras, beautiful empowerment words that really inspire me. I put those on pages and then got me some pretty scrapbook stickers and put around it. As I said earlier, when you're working, I was in Ireland several years ago. We're walking on a field, and out of nowhere, this beautiful, big, bright red, we were there in September, oak leaf just fell in front of me. I picked it up, and that oak leaf is in my book. And when I open up that page, it takes me back to, we were walking up to the hill of Tara, by the way. Walking up the hill, there's no trees, and out of nowhere came this beautiful leaf, all right? You know, and that adds to my magic. When I talk about knowledge, gets transferred into magical energy, all right? That memory, that connection of walking up the hill of Tara, all right? And it was such a magical moment for me, and I still have the leaf, all right? You know, it's just that reaffirmation of self. You know, write little empowerment notes to yourself. Y'all see Chester's determined today. He's going to be friendly cat. I want you to know some days I call him and he turns and walks the other way. All right. But we're going to, here you go, sweetheart. All right. Another thing I have in my book is what I call fortune cookie keepsakes, fortune cookie wisdoms, where I've gone places and people will give me, I was in a divination workshop and we all pulled a card out of the cauldron. I put that card in my book and I wrote a little note down about it and how I felt and what it meant to me at that time. All right. And yes, you can put actual, you know, cookie fortune slips of paper in your book if you're compelled to. All right. Let this book be a celebration of your magic, which when you find, you know, a good working, all right. Yes. You know, he's determined, y'all. Here, y'all, Chester, say hello to the witches out there that you're so determined that you're going to be in this video with. Yeah, sometimes he just will not, he's determined, like, it's my lap or nowhere else, you know. And what's really bad is that I'm the one that gives in. So y'all know he's done trained me, is what I'm saying. All right, go over here and sit on the chair. Okay? No, don't you dare do it. All right, witches. Let me get myself back on track. This is not about, like I said, recording static knowledge, recording other people's stuff. Yes, use those correspondence, use those lists, but don't feel like you got to write everything down that they told you. Instead, just use it as a jumping off point, all right? And I was going to share with y'all, because I just wrote down a working, here it is right here. I wrote a working down, okay? In which is, it's a binding curse. I'm a dark witch. I'm going to say nothing, all right? but it's called by 3. And typically what you do is use 3 spikes. Coffin nails, small, not the big railroad spikes. There's like these little railroad spikes you can get, but you want a really good spiky nail. 3 of them. All right. And you want to come, whatever your words are. I'm not reading my words because they're mine. All right. But what you're doing is you are going to use, I typically like to use like a lemon, a mango. I go to the grocery store in the fruit and vegetable and find out and look for what I call an angry vegetable or an angry fruit. All right. And that varies. I'm looking for energy. Last time I did this working, I found this really angry orange. I mean, it was like, ah. And I'm like, you're perfect. You're exactly what I need for this working. 3 spikes. Angry fruit or vegetable, or you can potentially make a clay figure because this is cursing and binding as a representation of the person. All right. And like I said, have your words together, write them out, what you're saying. You are going for the heart to ache. You are going for the head to never stop thinking, and for the feet to either return or stay away, depending on your situation. Head, heart, feet. You're going after those in this cursing, all right? There's also a modification on this where you can drive 3 spikes into a young tree, and then when the person that you've cursed or the person that you're binding, once you're done with it, you remove the spikes from the tree. I just don't like doing that to trees. That's my personal preference. If you have an angry, icky tree, by all means. But a beautiful young 6-7-year-old sapling tree that it's all bright and happy, it just don't work for me personally. All right, witch? I'm just telling you what some old folk would do if we got back into some of the, our old conjuring magic. You'll go put it out to a tree. All right. And you can wrap it in thread, hang little tokens off of your spikes. Okay. And you're going to put these 3 spikes, and if you put them into the idea is that you want the fruit or the veggie to rot into itself. So you put your spikes in there, you say your words that may your head never stop thinking, may your heart never stop aching, may your feet never stop moving, may you never find peace into my fruit. I wrap it up in tin foil, and then I let it sit somewhere for a little while, potentially 3 or 4 months, until it's all down and icky and everything else. I carefully remove it from there, and then I take it out of the tin foil, and then I put it in the ground. And yes, I put the nails in the ground with it on this particular working. I do not put the tin foil in the ground because basically I know better, Now, you can, and I do have the notes down here at the bottom, you can flip this into a sour jar. And that's where you can take your 3 spikes, put them into the sour jar. When we use sour jars, you want your base to either be a vinegar or urine, or a combination of both, all right? You want a caustic, fluid in there. And now that I've started telling you all how to be bright and shiny with your books, I'm ended up telling you all how to do a good cursing. It's called balance, witches. But that actually is one of my favorite oldest binding is what I've used it for. I typically am not inclined to work curses. It's not my go-to, witches, all right? We talk about that dark witch, and that we embrace balance. It doesn't mean I just run around cursing on folks, because They cut me off on traffic. All right. But I got off subject. I'm going to get back on subject. You're beautiful. We have some of the most amazing books out. Open it up and scribble in it. Make a mistake. Put stickers in it. All right. Dried flowers, cookie fortunes, postcards. Okay. Notes to yourself. This is your book for you, because when I lay this on my altar and I open it up and I read from this, all right, there's power. It is so powerful to read from your own book. The next one that I'm putting in here, so y'all know, is I'm going to put I have a really nice full moon water blessing that I wrote years ago, and I just really like it. And so I'm putting it in this book. And I'm just going to let the universe help me fill it out. When I find something, I hear something, I'm gonna write it down. All right, witches? So, of course, I'm going to tell you, I want to hear what y'all have to say about how do you deal with getting a book for the first time and getting over that initial intimidation of, oh my gosh, it's so pretty, and then also putting these expectations that our book is going to be this amazing, artistic, perfect, it's never going to be seen before, and how putting that back down into reality and creating your book, because like I was saying at the very beginning of this, don't let these books be sitting up on shelves unused. That's just shadows, witches. That's just shadows. All right, I'm going to stop talking about this, and I'm going to tell you, if you want to know more about me, please go to houseofwitchcraft.com. We've got a lot of stuff going on over there, and of course, sign up for the newsletter. We got a great newsletter with some really good contributors. We got more folks adding to it. It is growing. All right. So please go up to the website and just put your email address in there, and you'll automatically be getting the newsletter. All right, witches. I hope y'all have as bright of a blessed day as I'm having. And it never changes. It's always the same. Everybody take a deep breath and say it with me, witches, because we're standing on a crossroads. Amen. Blessed be, Ashe, and Ebabo.